Okay, so we are holding on page Yutes of the Maimer, line 20. We were speaking about that the idea of ad that says Shuv Yisrael ad Havaya Lekecha, that the word ad has in it three meanings. In addition to the, like when we say ad in the first meaning of until, so the until can contain in it two different types of levels of until. It could be until in such a way where it is ad ad b'chlal, that the until includes whatever it is referring to, or it could be an until that doesn't include ad v'loy ad b'chlal, which Beruchnius shows on, if it doesn't include, that shows on a level that's beyond our reach. It's something that we cannot comprehend. It's something that we cannot attain. Now, when saying those two levels of ad v'loy ad b'chlal, he also took it into bringing it into other completely different meanings of the word ad. He brought a second meaning of the word ad from the level everlasting. Nitzchi. Something that is everlasting, there's two types of ways. There's ways of something everlasting that still has association with time, and it's still in the way that it has to do with the definitions of time, etc. And we say that it is there's past, present, future in a way that is everlasting. And then there's a way that is completely unlimited. The whole idea of time doesn't apply over there. It's very similar to ad v'loy ad b'chlal. So essentially, we explain two meanings in ad. Ad means until. However, we're going to make the border of until. Ad means everlasting. Now he's going to bring a third explanation in the word ad. Line 20 on page Yutes, the third page of the downloads. Ad l'shoin kishut. The third meaning in the word ad is an expression meaning adornment, something that a person uses to beautify themselves, like jewelry, etc. It says in Yecheskel, we have this in the Haggadah, speaking about the beauty of the Yidden. It's an idea of some type of jewelry or anything that adorns and beautifies a person. Like it says concerning Edyam, that they had in their possession from Mount Chorev. It says that when the Yidden sinned with the Cheta Egel, so they had to remove Es Edyam. And Edyam means they, as a sign of mourning, they removed their jewelry or adornments, or the crowns that the Malachim placed on their head when they said Nas before Nishma. But essentially, the word in Lashon Kodesh that's used over there in the pasuk is Edyam, and Edyam is related to Ad, meaning some type of beautification. These are the two crowns that the Malachim bound and put on their heads. One crown that they placed on their head corresponding to Nasa, and one crown they placed on their head corresponding to Nishma. So now he's going to explain the significance of ad, meaning adornments. So he says in line 25, the idea behind this is it's explained to Amar on the Maimer Chazal. The tefillin of the master of the world. What does it say in the Eibishter's film? What is the idea? So on the Maimer that speaks about the tefillin of Hashem, so it speaks about the following topic. It says, what's the purpose of jewelry? What's the purpose of something that adorns the person? To bring out and make them look more beautiful. Therefore, there is the idea of jewelry, a tachshit, is even greater more expensive, more important than just garments alone, because garments do not necessarily beautify the person, but tafshitim do. To note that I really divide, there's three types of things a person puts on. There's ksheyesh levush stam, there's an ordinary garment, just functional. It's not about adornment, it's not about beautification. Then there's a second level, levush ugam tachshit, a garment that's also an adornment. It makes the person look more beautiful, nicer, etc., etc. So this is a garment along with being a tachshit. And then there's a third level, that's something that's solely, it's not even considered a garment. Well, the mailim is that even higher than this, top of page chaf, tachshitim b'fnei atzmam are things that are just considered adornment, just jewelry. It's not even clothing. So the Rebbe says that the idea of a garment in general is actually made to give honor and respect to the person. So why you can tell me that tachshitim are greater than garments? That's what he asks on the top of page Chav, line 1. Though the garments of a person give him respect and honor, Rabbi Yochanan would call his garments, he would call it those that give me honor, those that give me respect, that they give honor and respect to their possessors. So therefore, why are you making this distinction and saying that a jewelry, adornment is greater than and higher than a garment? Seemingly, garments are also meant to give honor to the person. Still, in all the Rebbe explains line 3, the main idea of a garment is lahagin ala adam. It's meant to protect the person from weather, from etc. The einam be'erach tachshitim, they're incomparable to jewelry or adornments. Shekol inyanam burak lekashit liyaps. The whole purpose is only to make him more beautiful, to give him something that's an adornment, etc. In addition to the idea that we're saying that it is something that's adorning the person, another higher and greater difference between a garment and jewelry is how do they beautify the person? It's completely beyond him. It's not at all according to his measure. Jewelry is not in general measured according to the person, because its entire idea is beauty. It has nothing to do with being a garment. Not like garments. That garments are in general according to the person's measurements, to the person's size. A person that's big can't wear something that's small. A person that's small can't wear something that's big. But jewelry in general has nothing to do, has no significance to the person's size. Just like a crown that encompasses, surrounds a person. It includes in it also the most highest organ of the body. That's the head. That in the head is found the brain. To such a degree that the crown also surrounds the skull that's beyond. It also surrounds and encompasses the intellect that's in the brain. So we see over here how the adornment, the jewelry, as for example, the crown is way beyond the entire person and his measurement and so on. So these are, to sum up, the three explanations of ad. Ad means until, ad means everlasting, and ad means jewelry. So now the Rebbe is going to, as he usually does, combine and see the association between all three of them. Second paragraph on page Chav, line 12. The three explanations that were mentioned previously are really one idea. Kulam shayochim v'pchinas hakeser shalamayla meseder ishtalshus. All of these three explanations in the word ad are applicable on the level of keser that's higher than the seder ishtalshus. Hine tachshitim, the idea of tachshitim, ad meloshin kitshut, ad from the expression of an adornment who inyan ha-keser is the idea of keser. She'einoi nimtza b'toich harosh, a crown is not found in the head. Ve'einoi chelik minen, it's not even a part of the head. Elahu makif u'lamaylo men. It's rather something that's encompassing and higher than the head. So that's the association between jewelry, the jewelry meaning of ad, and the level of keser. Gam inyan ha-nitzchi is shaykh la-keser. Also, the meaning of ad as being everlasting is also connected with keser. Ki ha-keser yesh me b'chinas tachtoin l'dein sof baruch hu, because keser has in it from the lower level of the Ein Sof. V'hainu nitzchis. That is the idea of the everlasting, Shezol Pirish Ein Sof. What does it mean? The literal meaning, Ein Sof, no end, means it's everlasting. So Keser, as we know, has the Darga Tachtoina Shvemaitzel, we say. Keser is a combination, it has a Darga Tachtoina Shvemaitzel, the lower level of the emanator. It also has levels associated with the emanated beings. But the fact that it has the Ein Sof in it, that shows that it has idea of nitzchias, the everlasting nature, the infinite. Another, the other type of ad from the word until. So he says in line 20, v'gam ha'inyan, the ad, also the idea that up till here you will come. Ad meloshin hefsik, ad from the word cessation, stopping. This is where it finishes until. Shaykh l'keser is also associated with keser. Why? The idea of keser is something that defies and is beyond comprehension. And since it's beyond comprehension, that means this is as far as you can reach intellectually, with your mind, your heart. You can reach only to here, but not to keser. Even more specifically, the ad, the two levels of until and including what's until. And also the level that we've been talking about until and not including what's until. They are the two levels of keser. There's a level of keser, the lower level of keser, it's the root of the emanated beings, the level that's called bechinas arich. It's the level of arich ampin, it's the root of atzilus. And that is the definition of ad ve'ad. That is a level that's still, to a certain degree, comprehensible, attainable, reachable. So therefore, it's ad ve'ad b'chlal. The ad is included. The higher level of keser, which is the lower level of the emanator. It's a level of atik yomin. That's the level of ad ve'loyad b'chlal. That's beyond comprehension, beyond reaching, beyond seder ishtalshus. Any questions before we go on to his give? Okay, bottom of page Chaf, line 27, his give. The idea behind this is the Mizbar Leil was explained previously in the Maimer Shaydei Avoida Yicholim Lagia Lebchinas Ad Ve'ad B'chlal. Through our Avoida, through something that I do, I can reach a level of ad ve'ad b'chlal. The ad ve'loyad b'chlal is not something that I can attain through my avodah. That's something that Hashem can choose to give. Hainu, this means shekol adam, every person, afilu neshama b'chusa the yitzira v'asiyah chulu, even a low neshama of the world of yitzira, or even lower the world of asiyah, Yachol Hagia Idei Avidase, top of page Chaf Aleph, could reach through his avodah ad l'shoyrish hanatzalim, till the root of all emanated beings. And why is that so? How is it possible for anyone to be able to reach there, even though my neshama might be very low? Shezom mitzad nafshi alakis. It's a result of his godly soul. Allah, I mean, concerning nafshi alakis, we say Neshama shenasata b'toyrehi, the neshama that you placed in me is pure. Ata barasa, you created her. Ata yitzarti, you formed her. Vata nefakta, you blew her into me. And therefore, v'lachein, because the neshama originates from the level that's higher than barasa yitzarta, from the level of Tahira, that's why we could reach the level of Atzilus, therefore, through its service, Nasas Aliyah, he becomes the elevation till the level that it is pure. That's the world of Atzilus, but also higher than the level that you created it. She has cholos metzias on Neshama. The beginning of the Neshama as an entity, as an existence, begins with Bria, the fact that Barasa, you created it. Beforehand, it was only part of Hashem still. Then the Rebbe says even more so. Not only Atzilus, but Be'emes Yachal Agia L'Mayla Yoser, in truth, the Neshama could reach even higher, Ayidei Inyan Ha'ibur, through the idea of being impregnated with the Neshama of a higher person, of a tzaddik, for example, Kemevur B'Sifrei Kabbalah Chassidus, like explained in books of Kabbalah and Chassidus. Ibur, we have also in Tanya that it says that if a Beinoni really works hard on attaining the Ava B'Tanugim, the joy of a tzaddik, the despising bad of a tzaddik, and he really wishes for it, and he really works hard. So even though the neshama of a Beinoni itself, it's impossible for it to be able to be a tzaddik because there are different types of neshamas. Barasa tzaddikim, barasa rishayim, there are neshamas that were born and created to be Beinonim and born to be created tzaddikim. Still in all, the Alter Rebbe says, well, if Hashem sees how much this Beinoni really desires to be in the level of a tzaddik, it could be, it's not a sure thing, but it could be that can come into him, impregnated within him, another neshama, a neshama of a tzaddik that will be inside of him as well. So when a person attains this level of ibur, so then he's not just limited in reaching the level of Atzilus, but he could reach ad shoyrish haretzolam mamish. He could reach even the root of the emanated beings. Like we said before, it's the lower level in Keser, the level of Arechampin. That's the most highest level in what we said, where the ad is included in what we're reaching. But higher than this level, than the Shorish on its own, that's the level where ad is not included. It's higher than the root of all emanated beings. Therefore, we cannot reach it. Like it's known, the proof from the wellspring of the place called Ein Etam. Ein Etam was the highest place, the highest point in Eretz Yisrael. It was located between the area in Eretz Yisrael that was designated for Shevet Yehuda and Shevet Binyamin, and the wellspring came from there, and channels of water came down over there to the Beis Hamikdash, so the Kohen Gadol should be able to tovel over there. And the Gemara says, "Benegeya Tvilas Kohen Gadol b'Yom Kippurim," concerning the immersion that the Kohen Gadol goes to the mikvah on Yom Kippur, and the Gemara describes how much higher Ein Etam had to be from the Beis Hamikdash, so that the water should be able to flow down. Because if Ein Etam was on the same level like the Beis Hamikdash or lower, it would not be able to flow into the Beis Hamikdash. She'ein davar yachol is alis l'mayl misharshay, because nothing can go up higher than its root. So therefore, we must say that since Ein Etam, the Mayan of Ein Etam, brought in the water for the mikveh that the Kohen Gadol would be tovel on the Beis Hamikdash, so the Gemara makes a calculation how much higher Ein Etam was from the Beis Hamikdash. That being said, the point over here is just to say that nothing can go higher than its source. So the highest a person could reach through his avoida is only the level of ad v'ad b'chlal. And what is that? That's the level of shorish and etzolim, the level of arach, the lower level of kesef. So now it continues on line 16. Behind this means shal achar shemagil madregis ad v'ad b'chlal. After he reaches the level of ad and ad b'chlal, then he comes to a recognition and an understanding even more in depth. How godliness is completely separated and beyond him. In other words, once I understand as much as possible for me to comprehend and grasp in godliness, so then I can appreciate how much more is left not understood. That's beyond me. And he cannot reach the level of the Ein Sof. Similar to what it says in Tikkun Zohar, Keser Elyon. It says the Keser of above, though is very clear and very shiny light, or Kadman, an early light. He is dark in comparison to the cause of causes. So the way the Rebbe is going to explain this, it doesn't just mean that in comparison to a lower level, it's light. In comparison to a higher level, it's dark. But rather something else. That the actual attainment of its brightness and brilliance makes it now realize how dark it is. It says in line 22, specifically because of the reason shekeser elyon, the high kevser. The Rebbe says that the intention in the Tikkun Zohar is talking about the level in Keser known as Arich. He's this shining and pure and clear light. That's why that's why it's felt how dark it is. Because it's reached as far as it could reach. Therefore, it's able to appreciate that really it hasn't even begun to understand and comprehend it. Top of page of base, similar to this in the avoid of a person. The more he understands, it goes up level after level in the ad and ad b'chlal, in that which it's possible for him to comprehend. So then it brings him to a greater and deeper appreciation and recognition, both quantitatively and qualitatively. The Rebbe says in Yiddish, merer und tiefer, more and deeper. How godliness is so much higher than the whole category and even being a root for the created beings. Just like similar to what we said before, that Hashem is not just outside of time or unlimited, he's beyond the whole category of time. Therefore, to say that he's everlasting is like not even applicable because time doesn't apply by him. And the Rebbe is going to give an example from like a flip side of this. That similar to what the Ramah writes in Shulchan Aruch, concerning preparation for davening, that he says there's two components and aspects of what a person needs to be recognizing as a preparation for davening. Person needs to meditate in the exaltedness of Hashem and how low the person is. So the Rebbe goes on to explain that these two aspects are dependent one on another. Just like the more I understand godliness, the more I realize how much it's beyond our comprehension. The same thing over here, but like I said, on the flipped side. The the more a person understands how exalted God is. He understands more and deeper the lowness of a person, how he's completely distant from godliness. Actually, it's not necessarily flipped around, but essentially it's saying this idea, just like by Kesser, that because it's Eretz Tzach and Eretz B'tzuchtach, therefore it could realize how dark it is. Therefore, the neshamas of Bri Yitzira cannot attain this level of beyond Shoresh HaNetzalim, the level of the Ein Sof. Shezeu inyan ad v'lo ad b'chlal. That's the idea of ad, and ad is not included in it as well. Let's learn a little bit more over here. Ois Daled. Amnam kol zeh mitzad klos avoid b'toyra mitzvahs kfish mitzad hakochos hapnimi. This limitation, etc., comes only as a result when we're serving Hashem with Torah and mitzvahs, the way it is from the perspective of our inner soul powers, the limited soul powers. Concerning this type of service, it says, you are all standing, your heads, your tribes, etc. The Pasuk enumerated 10 levels, like we mentioned in the previous Mamar. Just like there are 10 levels in a person's soul, these are 10 inner soul powers. So all of this type of avoid of dealing with the 10 soul powers, that's the avoid, that's the level where the ad is also included, it's part of it. But higher than this type of avoid, the avoid of ad b'chlal, there's something higher than that. There is the avoid makif. It's the avoid from the perspective of the level of makif, not the koiches pnimim, but the koiches makif. What avoid involves the koiches makifim? She avoid שובה. It's the avoid of שובה. She b'chinas ad b'chlal. That's an avoid that is not part of the norm, not part of the Seder, not part of the Koiches Pnimim, etc. Zelgam close achiluk shebein avodas hatzadikim ad v'ad b'chlal. V'avodas about shuva ad v'ad b'chlal. That's the general difference between the avodah of tzadikim, which is ad v'ad b'chlal, versus the avodah about shuva, which is ad v'ad b'chlal. Yet, despite that, we don't want to stop and make just this distinction and say, there's the avoid of Baal Tshuva, there's the avoid of Tzadikim, that's enough. But here is going to be a point that we're going to go through to the rest of the Maimon. Tachlis HaKavana, the ultimate purpose is there should be the joining of the two levels of avodah, of the inner soul powers and the transcendent soul powers. We don't want to have the avodah just of ad v'lo ad b'chlal, or just avodah of ad b'chlal, or separate people. There's tzadikim, there's Baal Tshuva, or there's makifim versus pnimim. But there should be the joining of tzadikim with Baal Tshuva. This is what Chazal said. Mashiach also Mashiach is going to come and make tzadikim do tshuva. What's the meaning of that? That in the ad ve'ad b'chlal, we should draw down the level of ad v'lo ad b'chlal. Similar to what he said, in the level of time, which has changes and shonim, there should be beyond time. That's the joining of ad and ad b'chlal with ad and lo ad. We'll stop over here. Any questions?